I feel raw and emotionally vulnerable. This is the longest time I've been on my own, and that realization hit me the hardest today. So I feel lonely.
Yeah, I'll admit it's affected me mentally, emotionally. I feel a little bit trapped. I feel a little bit uncertain about my future.
We lost my father-in-law and his sister due to COVID. It's been a difficult time for my family, especially my children who were close to their grandfather.
There's honestly a whole roller coaster of emotions I go through on a daily basis.
What gets me a bit bitter at the situation is when I think about how COVID's going to affect kind of my long-term plans or the longer-term year ahead.
I think the most difficult part for me is homeschooling my 4-year-old. I keep on thinking if I'm doing the right things, if I'm doing enough, or if I'm doing too much.
People are generally not comfortable being confined, being quiet, or being still in their own home.
I miss traveling the most, going to the beach, meeting new people, having a fresh air, seeing a new world.
I miss my family the most, my parents, sister, my 2 little nephews. I feel a tightness in my chest at the thought that it may be months before I can see and hug them again.
You get moments when you start worrying about things, about what if a family member was sick and you needed to travel home, or, I don't know, you needed to do things for yourself that you're not allowed to currently do, and you do start to worry about that.
I've learned to be more grateful. Every day I wake up and I'm like, what am I grateful for today?
I guess for me, it highlights the core things that I'm grateful for in my life. And that is, the health of my family, my health, waking up in the morning, knowing that, we are able-bodied and not sick.
I think one positive out of the situation is that you just have so much more free time on your hands. It's up to you, obviously, what you do with that time, but I think everyone has more time in general because of this situation.
I think like most people, the situation has got me cooking more, and I do really like cooking. I just never have the time for it, so I love that I have that.
I guess I can say I'm really very happy that because of this, we're growing together spiritually as well.
I like that it has allowed us to pause and really take stock of our lives and discover things about ourselves. There's a certain beauty to this almost meditative state of solitude.
I'd love for my son to remember this time as a time that we played every day, spent a lot of time with his parents.
I hope coming out of this, people stick to the habits that they've created at home. I think a lot of people have found value in what they actually enjoy doing, and the simplicity of not being able to go out as much, consume as much, travel as much. We should all be more comfortable living slightly simpler lives.
If it's anything that I learned is no one is truly alone. No one should be alone. And that I definitely need people in my life. And I want to be able to cultivate these connections more, with more intention.
I'm so looking forward to meeting my friends, hugging each other, going to a nice restaurant and laughing over a nice meal and drinks, and talk about our next holiday trips. And that day will come one day soon. Rainy days never stays, so that day will come.
I'm hopeful that this will end sooner than what people expect it to be.
I'm just hopeful that people are humbled by this, that despite modern medicine, despite us having reached the moon, some 50 years ago, that as human beings, we still are vulnerable. Life is fragile, but the human spirit and community and cooperation and goodwill still heals and will still hopefully help us prevail.
With life's profound simplicity, I hope that we appreciate every moment of it with our loved ones.
There's a lot we don't have to have that we can do without, and maybe we should, start Marie Kondoing those parts of the world as it is.
I would want to see a world come out of this that understands the importance of acting as a unit, as a collective group. When people across the world act together, keeping the collective in mind as opposed to personal interests, we can really do a lot.
I would like to see the world where people would find more joy in other than making money, being richer economically, and being nicer to the environment, being nicer to more vulnerable people, being nice each other, being nicer to ourselves.
I also hope that in a bigger sense in society, our politicians and businesses and huge corporations take stock of what's happened and put in place steps to make their businesses more sustainable, as well as governments and those kind of things supporting smaller businesses and really seeing the value in all this sort of diversity. We can't return to having so many people controlling so much of the power.
The world I want to see coming out of this crisis is one that's ready for the many more crises that are on the way, the climate crisis being an obvious one. We've got to take stock of where we are in our development as a human race, what our economies are doing, and what we are doing in terms of how we live with the planet. We've only got one planet to live with, so let's make it last for everyone.